Hey y'all, and welcome back to Keeping Up with Christy. I'm Christy, and on today's video I'm going to be showing you how I made for dinner Savannah chicken gumbo and chicken noodle soup. So first up is the gumbo, and this is what you'll need to have out to start your gumbo. You're going to need your stick of butter. It's actually, I think we used the whole half a cup, and a half a cup of flour for this recipe. You'll need that whole thing. Your vegetables, which is onion, garlic, and pepper. It called for green pepper. I didn't have any, but I did have a couple of jalapenos left from another recipe, so I decided to go ahead and use that. You're gonna wanna saute all that up together. Your seasonings, salt and pepper, some bay leaves. You're gonna need a pack of kielbasa sausage and some chicken that's been cooked off the bone and already shredded. And then I'm using, of course, our homemade chicken broth or bone broth that we make here at our house. I have a video if you haven't seen how we do that. Super easy in the crock pot. Also then a couple of cans of diced tomatoes. So this is what we need. Now it's time to get started. I'm gonna be cooking all of this in my beautiful Dutch oven my children gifted me for Mother's Day last year. Wait, or this year, 2020. I don't know. It's been a blur. Anybody else with me? So they gave it to me though, and it was so sweet of them. This recipe is found in Paula Deen's cookbook. I cannot show you the recipe because it's copyrighted and it's right there. But you might can find something similar online, I'm sure. So also it calls for filet powder. I think that's how you say it. That's typical in gumbo recipes, and we don't have that, and I didn't bother to go and get it. But it's for spice and thickening, so the flour will make it thick enough, and then the spice, we decided to add that Tony's that I showed you. So getting started with the butter in the pan and getting all my veggies chopped up. Everything with the flour will go in first, with the butter, and of course with gumbo you have to darken your roux. So you can take time to kind of chop your veggies while your butter and flour are in your pan cooking. Now you don't want to do this over a high heat, of course, because it'll go too fast and you could burn it, but just nice medium heat, especially if you're using something like a cast iron Dutch oven that really maintains and does well at holding its heat. But you just want to get it dark. Now my mom was in the kitchen and she kept watching and she was like, are you getting that too dark? Is that too dark? And no, the recipe literally says to get it the color of milk chocolate before you add in your veggies. I didn't get mine to the milk chocolate stage. We were kind of at butterscotch. So, and then I went ahead and added in the veggies, but mom was worried that it would get too dark and too burnt, but really you can't, because that's the way you make gumbo. But this was still really good, had good flavor, and you want that background of that kind of nutty flavor from the butter and the flour cooking. That's yummy, right? So now I'm sure my friends down in Louisiana have mastered the making of gumbo, but this was my first time. And so we all thought it came out really well, considering that it was the first time that I was trying my hand at it. And it was really pretty simple. I mean, you're just standing there kind of babysitting the roux while you're waiting on it to darken up. But after that, you're literally just chopping and dropping everything into the pot. And so I got my seasonings in there, and the meat the sausage was in there already. And then I'm gonna be adding in the chicken, and then you just let it kind of sit and hang out. So, you know, like any good stew or soup, you wanna get it time to get all those flavors cooked in there good. And so that's what we did. So after you let it hang out and kind of just thicken up and marry together, that sausage really get in there and give out its flavor and everything, it's gonna be ready to serve up. Now we just heated up some canned garden peas on the side and made in our Instant Pot a batch of rice, and that's of course what we served the gumbo over, was over the rice with a side of peas. It was delicious. Everybody loved it. I had made chicken bog not too long ago. I have a video I can link in the description. It's very similar to that. The flavor's just a little bit different because of the fact it's got some Cajun seasoning in it. Here I am showing you my next recipe, which was chicken noodle soup, and y'all, that chicken was frozen. I had it sitting in my sink. I'm just gonna try to get the wrapper off of it. And I decided, I asked myself, can I make a frozen chicken in the Instant Pot, like from frozen to fully cooked and fall off the bone? The answer is yes. I did some research online and it turns out you can. All you gotta do is throw that frozen bird in your Instant Pot insert, put a cup of water, and then put whatever seasonings you want. I did salt, pepper, poultry seasoning. And then you stick it in your Instant Pot. It helps if you plug it in and, so you can turn it on. Set it to ceiling, and you're gonna need it on manual for like a long time. You have to set it for a high amount of time because you're gonna have to, let it cook from frozen. And then I just let it sit there afterwards and natural release. And it literally is like the bones were just coming out. And you can see how nice and hot with that steam coming off. And so we let it cool for a little bit. And then, of course, my mama, like she always does, so sweet, to help debone my chicken. So that's what she did. And we had a nice big pile of shredded up chicken that we could use for our chicken noodle soup. And so we ended up it was a ton of chicken. And we used it for chicken noodle soup as well as some chicken salad. And then of course the bones we always keep and we throw them into a crock pot to make bone broth. Again, that recipe will be linked down below so that you can go and watch how we do that. So the great thing about an Instant Pot is that you can cook your whole meal in it from start to finish. So I've already boiled the chicken in it, took that chicken out, and then I didn't even clean the pot. Just emptied out, the broth that was in it. And now I'm gonna saute the vegetables that are gonna go in there. So you saw I put olive oil in there, and then you just wanna chop up your veggies and you're gonna drop them in because the pot is now set to saute, and I can use it just like I would a pan on top of the stove and cook up my veggies for my chicken noodle soup. And once you get all your veggies in there, I also take this opportunity to season up my veggies. Salt, pepper, poultry seasoning. I like to put extra poultry seasoning in on the veggies too. And then add in your homemade broth or stock, or store-bought would work just fine too. I had some that came out from cooking the chicken and then some other in the freezer because like I said, I always keep I make bone broth with my bones, and then I'm able to store that in the freezer and pull it out whenever we need it. And so this was a total of 8 cups of homemade chicken broth, which really just makes for a delicious soup. And then I set it on the soup or broth setting that is on your Instant Pot. It sets itself for 30 minutes. And then when the 30 minutes is up, you can go ahead and either natural release or let it natural release, or do what I'm doing here, which is quick release, which simply just means switch your little nozzle over and let the steam go ahead and come out so you can open it sooner. And with meats, you want to make sure that you do a natural release. You don't move that nozzle real fast because that's the time it takes to kind of get the juices back in the meats. But with this, it's just the veggies and the broth. So I go ahead and quick release it so I can get moving on with dinner. Now I'm going to turn my pot back to saute because I want to get a nice little bubble going. All those veggies are completely cooked. The frozen broth has defrosted. Everything is nice and hot, and the veggies are tender. So at this point, I'll switch it back over to saute so I can get a nice rolling bowl and be able to put my noodles in to cook the egg noodles right in the Instant Pot. And that's it. Once your noodles are cooked in 10 minutes time, you're just going to add back in your chicken too, and then that's the end of the soup. It's all done and ready to eat, and it's delicious and it's home cooked. Now, if you don't have time to do all that, even though the Instant Pot makes it faster, if you don't have time for all that in your day, go grab your rotisserie bird and some boxed chicken stock and add in those fresh veggies that you chop up, and you're going to make a delicious chicken noodle soup just the same. Done that many times. So I hope all this helps, give some inspiration. Thank y'all so much for watching. If you like what you see here on my channel, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. That helps me with my content. And thanks so much for watching. If you haven't, please subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you be a part of my YouTube family. Thanks, guys. Bye.